characteristic that is used to describe what's happening at the outside edges or at the ends of our graph is called the end behaviors. The end behaviors simply describe the ends, the outside edges, or the arrows, what's happening as your graph goes to infinity on each side. Now, looking at a specific example, this is the graph of a quadratic equation. It's a parabola. Our parabola is opening downward, and it has a vertex at 4, 1. This point is where our curve changes direction from increasing to decreasing. And there are two little arrows here saying that our graph continues in each of those directions. Now, when writing the end behaviors, we really are not concerned about what's happening in the middle of our graph. The direction it turns and where it turns doesn't really concern us. We're focused on the ends, on the outside. So the two arrows are the places we need to be looking. Now, on the left-hand side, this arrow is actually taking us in two directions. It's taking us to the left and down. If we were to continue drawing this out, we would be headed in both of those directions. On the right, if we were to continue drawing out this curve, we would be moving to the right and down. Neither one of these are vertical or horizontal, they're moving at an angle. So you have to consider both directions, where it's headed in the horizontal direction and where your curve is headed in the vertical direction. Now you write your end behaviors in two parts, the left side and the right side. So beginning with the left side, if I think about vertically, my y, we're headed down. Now when you head down the y-axis, it goes to negative infinity. So I can say that f of x, that's the same thing as y, approaches or goes to negative infinity, as the other arrow is pointing us in the x direction. So when we point to the left in the x direction along the x-axis, that's taking us to negative infinity. So we would say as x goes to or approaches negative infinity. Arrow pointing down, so the f of x or the y is going to negative infinity. The other arrow is pointing us to the left, so the x goes to negative infinity. This is the left-hand side end behavior. The right-hand side end behavior, we think about the same way. Vertically, our f of x or our y is going to approach. This arrow is pointing down. When we go down, we head to negative infinity. Horizontally, if we're looking to the right, going to the right is an x. The x-axis runs left and right. And as we go to the right on the x-axis, we go to positive infinity. So our graph, the f of x or the y, is going down to negative infinity as it goes to the right towards positive infinity in the x direction. This is your right-hand side in behavior. Now let's look at a second example. Here's another quadratic, this one opening up. The vertex is at -4, -3. But again, if we're going to describe the end behaviors, we really don't care what's happening in the middle or where it's turning. We're focusing on these two arrows, where it's pointing us on the left side and where it's pointing us on the right side. So I know that if we go to the left on the x-axis, we go out to negative infinity. If we go to the right on the x-axis, we go out to positive infinity. On the y-axis, if we go down forever, we'll get to negative infinity. And up forever will take us towards positive infinity. Thinking about our arrows. Start on the left, looking at this curve. If we were to continue drawing out this curve, we would be going up and to the left. So to describe that in behavior, going up, f of x or y approaches or goes to, as we go up, we go to positive infinity. X goes to, As we go to the left, the x is going towards negative infinity. So x goes to negative infinity. This is our left side in behavior. The right side in behavior, if we look at the arrow on the right, if we were to continue drawing out this curve, we would be going up and we would be going to the right. So going up, f of x or y goes to infinity, up goes to positive infinity. X goes to, as we go to the right, the x-axis goes to positive infinity. So as our curve goes up, it goes to the right. And this is the end behavior for the right side. Things to remember when you're writing the end behaviors. Look at your arrow. What direction is it taking you? Up is positive, down is negative. In the x direction, left is negative, right is positive. If you can break each of your ends up into the vertical and horizontal movement, and remember, up is positive, down is negative, right is positive, left is negative. That will give you your end behaviors.